Kicking off our list is the BMW E92 335i, a car that might not have the M badge but certainly has the heart of a tuner's dream. Under the hood sits the legendary N54 twin-turbo inline-six, known for its ability to make serious power with just a few bolt-ons. We are talking intake, downpipes, a tune, and suddenly you're pushing over 400 horsepower to the wheels on stock turbos. But where the N54 really shines is when you step into bigger turbo territory. With upgraded twins or a single turbo conversion, 600 plus horsepower is well within reach. Couple that with a good fuel system and some E85 tuning, and you've got a highway monster that can gap cars costing 3 times as much. The downside? Well, N54s have a bit of a reputation for reliability issues. Things like high-pressure fuel pumps and injectors love to give owners a headache. But for those willing to put in the work, the rewards are undeniable. If you're looking for a high-performance German sleeper, the E92 335i is an excellent place to start. Next up, we've got the Lexus 300. While this may look like your average luxury sedan from the early 2000s, under the hood lies one of Toyota's most legendary engines, the naturally aspirated 2 JZGE. Now, this isn't the same twin-turbo beast found in the MK4 Supra, but it still shares the same bulletproof bottom end and incredible tuning potential. One of the biggest draws of the IS300 is how easy it is to turbocharge. With a proper turbo kit, tune, and supporting mods, this car can easily make 500 plus horsepower. Plus, thanks to its Toyota roots, reliability remains solid even when pushing big power. And let's not forget, this thing is rear-wheel drive with a manual transmission option, making it a great platform for drifting, street builds, or even road racing. The only downside? Finding a clean, unmolested IS300 is getting harder by the year. But if you can get your hands on one, you've got a serious tuner gem. The Nissan 350Z is a car that needs no introduction in the tuning scene. Whether you're into naturally aspirated builds, forced induction, or full drift setups, this platform can handle it all. Powering the 350Z is the VQ35 engine, which came in 2 main variants, the DE and the improved HR. While the stock power is respectable, where this car really shines is in forced induction. Supercharger kits, twin-turbo setups, or even single-turbo builds can push this car well over 500 horsepower with the right supporting mods. Beyond power, the 350Z also has an incredibly well-balanced chassis, making it a favorite among drifters and road racers alike. The aftermarket support is massive, meaning you can pretty much build this car in whatever direction you want. The only drawback? Some say the VQ engine sounds a bit, let's say, unique, but hey, with the right exhaust setup, you can make it sing. At number 7, we have the Audi B5 S4, a true sleeper that hides serious power potential under its unassuming exterior. The twin-turbo 2.7-liter V6 might not seem like much stock, but once you start upgrading the turbos, fueling, and tuning, this car becomes an absolute rocket. With bolt-ons and a good tune, 400 horsepower is easy. But with bigger turbos like the popular K04 upgrade, these can hit 500 to 600 horsepower while still being daily drivable. Some even push well past 700 horsepower with built engines and E85. The downside? Like most older Audis, maintenance can be a nightmare, and engine out service is sometimes required for bigger repairs. But if you're willing to put in the wrench time, the B5 S4 is one of the most rewarding German platforms you can build. Now, let's talk about a different kind of tuning potential, the Mazda NB Miata. No, it's not a horsepower king like the others on this list, but when it comes to making the most out of a lightweight chassis, few cars do it better. The 1.8-liter BP engine responds beautifully to forced induction. A simple turbo kit can transform this little roadster from a fun weekend car into a track weapon with 250 to 300 horsepower, more than enough to have a blast in a sub-2,500-pound car. Plus, Miatas have some of the best aftermarket support out there. Whether you're looking for coilovers, turbo kits, aero mods, or weight reduction parts, there's no shortage of options. Just remember, if you're going turbo, cooling upgrades are a must. Don't laugh. This little Dodge Neon SRT4 is no joke. Packing a turbocharged 2.4-liter engine, this car was one of the most underrated tuners of its time. Stock, they came with around 230 horsepower, but with a simple tune, intake, and exhaust, they easily crossed the 300 horsepower mark. And if you go all out with a big turbo setup, 500 plus horsepower is achievable on stock internals. One of the coolest things about the SRT4 is its affordability. You can build serious power for a fraction of the cost compared to other turbo cars. The biggest downside? Front-wheel drive limits traction. But with the right setup, this car can still put in work on the street and track. Subaru's WRX and STI models are some of the most recognizable tuner cars, and for good reason. Their turbocharged boxer engines offer massive tuning potential, with the EJ series engines responding well to bolt-ons, bigger turbos, and E85. The WRX is a solid budget build, while the STI's stronger internals allow for even bigger power numbers. With a proper build, these cars can make 400 to 500 horsepower reliably, and some even push past 600 with built engines. Of course, Subarus are known for their Achilles heel, the infamous Ringland failure. But with good tuning and proper maintenance, these cars are some of the best all-around performance machines out there. The W204 C63 AMG is one of the few naturally aspirated cars on this list. But don't let that fool you, this thing is a monster. Its 6.2-liter V8 sounds like thunder and responds incredibly well to tuning. A simple tune and exhaust can push power close to 500 wheel horsepower, while adding a supercharger can take it to insane levels, 700 horsepower or more. The downside? Maintenance costs aren't cheap. But if you want a German muscle car with crazy tuning potential, the C63 AMG is hard to beat. The 03 to 04 Mustang SVT Cobra, aka the Terminator, is one of the most tunable Mustangs ever built. Thanks to its factory supercharged 4.6-liter DOHC V8, simple mods like a pulley swap, intake, and tune can push this car over 450 horsepower. Go further with a bigger blower, E85, and supporting mods, and you're looking at 700 plus horsepower with ease. Few cars can match the Cobra's raw performance potential at its price point. If you want an American muscle legend with endless tuning potential, this is the one. And finally, taking the top spot, no surprise here, the legendary Toyota Supra MK4. The 2JZGTE engine is one of the most famous power plants ever, capable of handling 1,000 plus horsepower with the right mods. Single turbo conversions, built blocks, and E85 setups make this car an absolute beast. It's expensive, but for good reason. There's nothing quite like a built Supra.